Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about some pretty odd news in regards to Final Fantasy VII Remake's multi-game release format. Yeah, that's still happening, and we'll talk about that in a second. I've been asked by a few people to add a little spoiler warning at the beginning here, for people who didn't play before, or may be introduced to it for the first time with Remake, but are still trying to find news in regards to these kind of things. So I will be mentioning some pretty key plot points to make a few points in this video, so this is your spoiler warning. Now with that out of the way, a lot of people have been asking me if Final Fantasy VII Remake was still going to be releasing in multiple parts. I kind of understand the confusion. The onstage presentation at E3 didn't make any explicit mention of it. They mentioned that Midgard was so big it was going to require a full extra disc, they gave us a release date, but they never said, hey, this is the first game in a multi-part release. However, the pre-order page, the description of the YouTube video when the trailer was posted, as well as an interview we actually went over on this channel about a month ago from Famitsu, all confirmed that the game was still planned to be a multi-game release. So now that we know that, we have to start talking about how many games it's actually going to be. I've heard a lot of discussion about how many games Final Fantasy VII Remake could eventually be, and it's been a discussion ever since it was first announced back in 2015. Back then, a lot of people were saying, well, it's 3 discs, so maybe we could make it in 3 games. And then you have to think about how the third disc really wasn't a whole lot of substance. So it seems that this first game is going to be ending with the escape of Midgard. It's supposed to be a 40 to 50 hour experience, all 8 sectors of Midgard being open, the story being greatly expanded, making us care about characters we may not have gotten enough time with before, such as some of our fellow members of Avalanche. But let's say it ends at the end of Midgard, that's the absolute fact. And then let's say the second game ends with Aerith dying, and then maybe the third game is the rest of everything. Or maybe they split, the second and third disc into 2 separate games, but like the content's done differently and expanded in certain ways. There's a lot of questions, but I think most of us would guess 3 or 4 games. But while we might not know, you'd expect that Square Enix probably knows how many games they're making, right? Well, that may or may not be entirely the case. So Jason Schreier, and I'm sorry if I got that name wrong, Jason, he's an editor with Kotaku, and he got to speak with the director, Yoshinori Kitase, and he asked, how many games are we going to get? And Kitase-san's answer was a little unexpected. Unfortunately, we can't say anything more about future games because we don't know ourselves. Now that's not like, hey, we don't know how many parts we're doing, we're completely clueless. That's just they haven't really decided how much content's going to be in every game. But it still has people going like, we kind of expected you to know that and maybe have an answer for it. I understand why you may not want to answer that directly, plans always change, and you may have an idea of it in the background now, but that may change by the time you actually get to releasing all these various titles. Either way, the odds of them not knowing is pretty low despite this actual comment. Another thing that was asked is how long it's actually going to take to develop future parts, because everyone's memeing that it's going to be like 2030 before we ever finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that their answer there really didn't help us feel better about that at all either. So they're not really sure how long development's going to take for the subsequent games. They're currently planning the volume of content for the second game while finishing development on the first game. They'd hope that development would be more efficient for the second game, but they can't outright say, yes, it is going to be faster. Again, you can't make those promises until you've actually scoped everything out and made sure you understand how it's all going to work. So there you have it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is A, still going to be multiple parts, and B, we have no idea how many parts exactly. I personally think that it will probably release faster. It's been talked about a lot how Final Fantasy VII Remake was being developed at the same time as Kingdom Hearts 3. And while yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 does have its Final Mix type Remind DLC coming out this winter, it's worth imagining that Final Fantasy VII Remake would be getting more resources at this point. So let me know what you think about these multi-game releases. Are you okay with multiple game releases as long as it's the originally promised 40 to 50 hours of gameplay and expanded story and content? Or are you still wishing that maybe we could just wait till 2030 and get the full thing at once? Let me know what you think in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. Anything Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can be sure I'll make a video about it. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video, and until then, take care.